So I have to start with myself first.
Mm,
And the reason, not to be selfish, but if I can't lead myself well, I have no business trying to lead somebody else.
mm.
So it always has to begin with walking that leadership walk to the best of my ability, right? In my own way.
Hey, what's going on, all you Keep the Changers? I hope you're having a great week, and I thank you so much once again for joining us for Keep the Change. As you know, we've transitioned in the last couple of years to talk more about leadership in business. We've talked more about leadership at home, leadership in our ministries, and we get to do that today. Today, frankly, it's about time, as my wife would say. We've got a powerful female leader with us. We've had all these men join us for the last 3 months. Now I've got the best of the best, male or female, joining me today. My somebody I just honor so much and I admire so much, Miss Deb Ingino. Deb, welcome to Keep the Change. So glad you're here.
Bart, man, I'll tell you, I am honored. I was so excited this morning, had my Doppio espresso, knew I was going to be on with Bart this morning. And thank you, my friend, for making space for us to connect.
We've always had this special connection, and I know you know how much I admire you, and I have so much respect for you. And
Well, right back
I'm
at
just
you.
thank
It's
you.
funny, Bart, I brag on you all the time. So every time your ears are ringing, just so you know, it's probably me talking you up to someone else that I just met.
Oh, thank you. The young man that you introduced me to 2 years ago reached out about a week ago, and he said, "You going to IMC?" And I said, "Oh man, not this time." But I just, again, thank you for that, and thank you for the kind words. It's what we do, right? We're transformational teammates that try to make the difference in people's lives and help them reach their max capacity, as I like to say. So, Deb, you're a faculty member of Maxwell Leadership. You're a high level leader within that organization. I believe you're original founding member, correct?
That's
Right. And you have been the CEO of Strength Leaders and leaders throughout the world and how to be the best they can be as leaders. You used to be the VP of Global Operations for Macken Eyewear. Did I pronounce that
Marshall.
correct?
Marshall.
Marshawn, of course. That's much better. In Phoenix, we say Macken, but
Right.
it's Marshawn Eyewear. And you just have this wisdom about you, and you've established yourself as a leader in so many different buildings, so many different individuals. Tell us about your leadership journey, if you would, in your words.
Wow. Well, it's probably an unconventional path, if you would call it that. So, just a little bit of background, I grew up the oldest of 7 kids in a two-bedroom apartment in the Bronx. So, the goal when I was in high school, my parents never spoke about college. It was all about hurry up and get a job so you can contribute to the household, right? So, fast forward, I ended up just going to high school, graduated, got 2 jobs after high school. One of those jobs, I met my husband of now almost 46 years in a week or so. And what's interesting to me, Bart, is that my leadership journey began feeling like I was at a deficit because I didn't have that degree.
Mm.
And I remember going on job interviews as I was trying to advance in my career, and they would say, "So, what's your degree in?" And I didn't have an answer for them. So I ended up getting a job at this company called Marchand. They were only 5 years old at the time, owned by 3 crazy New Yorkers, and so they were my people. And what was interesting is that they gave me a shot. They were willing to give me a shot, so much so that the CEO of that company, he said to me, he said, "Listen," he said, you don't have a college degree? What's wrong with you?" And I told her, I said, "Listen, my parents just need me to get out there and start to make some money." And he said, "Well, you're gonna wanna go back at some point." I said, "Oh, well, yeah, I'll definitely consider it." And he was a Harvard guy. He took a chance on me and allowed me to come in and lead his customer services team in a small domestic company of 50 people. I spent 23 years with them. He promoted me through the years to senior vice president of global brand operations. And I opened up offices all over the world and teams that now serve customers in more than 80 countries. So my leadership journey had a very unconventional start. but it really allowed me to flourish in my own strengths.
So, did he help you go to school? Did he help you get a degree? Or did your, like me, experience come from being in the workplace?
It was all workplace. And
Yeah.
this is where it's so interesting my intersection with John Maxwell came about, because in the mid 90s, my husband and I were invited to a business meeting, business workshop, and one of the speakers there was John Maxwell. And I immediately bought the book in the back of the room and then started ordering VHS tapes back in the day to educate myself. And I found in my work creating teams all over the world, John's advice was so practical in developing leaders and teams and helping them to be their best and to transform their workplace into their best place. And I just thought, my goodness, I'm getting my education, but just in a completely different way.
Yeah, that's so good. And I feel the same. I feel that I was a slow study. You know what my mama used to say to me, Deb? And I was telling Mary this the other day, you're going to be a late bloomer.
Yeah. I love that.
And it,
Love
it
it.
it can be twisted. For one who has a history of recovery, it can be twisted as you're not worth a blank yet. But she never, ever,
Again. Yeah.
not what she meant, my
Yeah.
friends. She knew I would be a late bloomer. This season I'm in today, we know each other well, and I'm so grateful for this season. This has been my most satisfying season in so many areas of my life: faith, family, fitness, fun, finances, all of it. And I believe that the best is yet to come. I just
Right.
do. And part of that is the people I've met. What Zig Ziglar say? It's the books you read, the people you met, meet, and there's one other one in there that determines your successes. And it's the people I've met through Maxwell that have had so much impact, the quality of human beings in the room. And I'm so grateful for that. When you look back on your journey through Marchand, ooh, that was good.
Good, you got it now.
What's the biggest challenges that you found in your leadership journey?
Oof. Boy, the one thing that's consistent is that where there's people, there's conflict, there's problem. I'll give you a great example. Like, after working for them for 23 years, I had always had on my heart to be an entrepreneur and didn't quite feel confident enough that I could be an entrepreneur in the beginning, right? But what was interesting was there was a good example of this conflict part. One of the jobs the CEO gave me to do, even as a global brand operations VP, right? He's like, listen, I can't tolerate the drama with people vying for who's getting what office. So you take that piece over for me, okay? I'm like, sure. So a coveted window office on Executive Row opened up. Okay. Now, my office, I buried myself in the back by the distribution center and customer service group, right? But man, there were 2 senior executives that wanted this office, and the office couldn't be more like 8 by 10 maybe at best. I don't even think it was that big, but it had a window and it was 4 doors down from the CEO. So that was the real key that they wanted. So I found myself one day, I'm standing in the doorway of this office, the 2 executives are in the office, and they're both telling me why they should have that office. And as I'm standing there, I realize that, God, this type of conflict, this type of problem, it's seemingly insignificant,
Mm,
but what it's displaying is the fact that the priorities are completely off. They're focused on the wrong things. They're focused on what's in it for them rather than what's the best positioning for our company. And that was like a light bulb moment for me. I was like, I think I need to be that entrepreneur now.
boy, that is so. And how would you handle it? What was the strategy you put into place to come up with the
So
solution?
what was good was I told the 2 of them, I said, "Listen," I said, "I feel like, Solomon suddenly. I have to split the baby. So you guys wanna share the office? We could do that." Right? And that was never gonna happen. These 2 were diametrically opposed to each other. I said, "Or let's look at it, what's best for the organization? What teams are located here? Who do we feel really needs to be in this spot? If you were the CEO, who would you choose?"
Oh, yeah.
And both of them chose the same other person.
Wow.
So it was great. There was another completely different executive that landed up there from our legal team. And I stayed in my concrete office without the windows in the back and decided, you know what? This is my moment. It's time for me to break out and start my own business.
Wow. I what I love about that is there's the piece of that where you said, "We can here's a solution. What do you think of that?"
Mhm.
"No, we don't like that one." "Who do you feel?" So because that's not gonna work. If it's not you, who do you feel that would be best for the company to put into that? So in other words, you asked a question. I'm sure, like a great attorney, you led the witness. I mean, you knew who you wanted in there, but they came up with the answer, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh, and here was the best part though. Bart, I have to share this. This is just shows how crazy it is. The window office overlooked the parking lot. The parking lot had a sump. So when it rained a lot, the septic system backed up into the
oh,
parking lot. And I thought, these two are crazy. Exactly.
that's so funny. Well, for those of you who didn't see what I did, I'm holding my nose for the sake of ego, right? Oh, I'm
Exactly.
working around. This is the beauty.
Exactly.
You know, it's so interesting, Deb. You're a master communicator. And you do that through assessments, you do it through your experience, you do it through your soul, you do it through your heart. You're just so good. You're one of the best I've ever seen in the world. I really mean that.
Oh man.
And what's so funny is I've got a situation. I'm going to let you be my therapist here.
Oh boy. You're in trouble now, buddy.
Yeah, you never know where this is going on Keep the Change. We've got a situation in one of our ventures where we've got someone who loves to espouse wisdom on a couple of social channels. And it's a private social channel, but it's also it's a that brings everybody in to the wisdom. And I'm fine with that. This person has great ideas, no doubt about it. But the challenge for me is that some of these things are tricky, and this isn't a new thing. Some of them are tricky to put into an email or text. And
Mm,
I'm always saying, great, let's have a conversation. But this
yeah.
person is a massive introvert and gets the power he does from just putting it on pen, thumbs to keypad. And he loves to run with that. And it's in that they can protect themselves.
That's right.
So when we've got those folks that just don't can't look one in the eye and have an adult conversation, they don't maybe have the emotional intelligence to do it.
Yeah.
How is because there's a lot of if you're watching this now, even if you're not watching it, you're here. As a leader, you've all had these people. They don't they hide behind the keyboard. We see it on socials all the time. But when it's really personal and it's direct and it's part of our inner circle, how do you get them to communicate at a different level than what they've been communicating at?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, you have these keyboard Yodas, right? They're very wise from the keyboard, but have real difficulty connecting with people one on one. And that's okay because some of us are wired to be much more introverted,
No.
right? Where you're an outstanding extrovert, other people may not be. So, one of the things that we have found, and it goes back to the culture of the organization, when people feel completely safe, they're more willing to stretch out of their comfort zone and do the things that aren't easy for them. They're willing to try. When they don't feel that safety yet, and it could be in a person, it could be in the whole organization, they tend to hold back. And this is where a lot of the work that you do, Bart, which is so impactful in helping teams to understand each other in their communication style and their strengths, and helping them to see, even though we may look at things slightly differently, it doesn't mean that we can't connect on a completely different level. And that is really important. So, that trust piece for many of those people is what's missing.
I love that so much. I heard this the other day. And I think it is the trust just seems to be the word that is surrounding me the last few days. I love what you said that he's got to be able to trust. If he trusts, he's going to stretch out of the what might have been his comfort zone. And I think about I had a conversation with somebody recently about that, and I find that the conversation, the one-on-one, the looking in the eye, the breaking bread, just builds such unity. Let's like this. You and I hanging out for these 35 minutes or so. What I know about this is this bonds us. We might not talk again for a few months, but this bonding, even though it's on Zoom, we're looking at our StreamYard, we're looking at each other, we're connecting. And what I find is you're right. I'm so good at that. I'm so good at my heart coming through. And I'm not very good at my heart coming through on an email or a text. I just want to get it done and move on. And yet what I find is I have to understand there it, you've I've said this before on this channel, don't be judgmental, be curious.
Yeah.
Let's
Right.
and I believe that's really important for me because I tend to not that I judge people, but it's my first reaction. It's like when I'm sitting in the seat on the aisle in an airplane, I'm judging who's going to take that middle seat next to me.
Yeah.
And I'm never right, right? I'm never right. But when I get curious, I'm a better human. And with
Mhm.
me, curiosity starts with tell me about your what how you would like to expand your parameters. How would you like to have more say in this? What give me some of your ideas.
It's
And I will
brilliant.
tell you, this person has fantastic ideas.
Yeah.
And yet all we want is to be able to have an adult conversation back and forth, which so many people just struggle with.
Yeah.
So
I remember
what
hearing a story. I was gonna say, Bart, sorry. I remember hearing a story about a CEO, and he was in a board meeting with his board. He was a fairly new CEO, and one of the challenges the board was having with him, they felt like he was too introverted, that
Mm,
he wasn't getting out and connecting with his team, and even with the other board members, he wasn't, sort of overly connected that they felt. It ended up that when they talked to him about, tell me a little bit more about your, where you grew up and your family life. And it ended up that he grew up in a really difficult home and he was reprimanded for speaking up. So therefore, he ended up getting sort of reprogrammed so that he didn't have to get, hurt as a kid, and he ended up, like, living the rest of his life once he came to terms with why the board helped him to do this, like, why he acted the way he did. They're like, "Listen, these people out there, these team members that report to you that are part of our team, they're not your family. They're not your parents. They they respect you, they want to know you, they wanna connect with you, and they want you to connect with them." And
mm.
they made it safe for him to kind of venture out there.
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you for that. You just thank you, Dr. Ingino. That's good
Oh,
stuff. Ye Yes, I'm gonna use that, absolutely. And, here's the thing with me, again, being a big time extrovert, who don't I understand? The opposite of me is a C on the disc scale, right?
yeah,
And guess what I've got on my team, my ministry team?
I'm sure lots
80%
of
of
Cs.
they're all C's.
Yep.
And if I had a bunch of I's, we'd be spewing all this knowledge, but we'd have stuff everywhere.
You'd have a
And
great time.
yeah, yeah. And yet these C's are so powerful in their thinking and they so much how's that go? You complete me. They
Yep.
complete us as a leadership team because we've got all these different personalities. I used to do it all. I'd have a bunch of eyes around me. Not anymore. Not anymore. I love having the dichotomy, the diversity. So you happen to be a faculty member at Maxwell Leadership. And one of your areas of expertise you've done with your own company, Strength Leaders, and one of the expertises, I don't think that's the right word. One of your areas of expertise with Maxwell Leadership, again, is with assessments, with personality assessments. You are the master within our culture and the one that people go to really understand what an assessment does. So you get that DISC has been around forever. And yet people don't necessarily understand it. Just because they did a disc at 20 and they threw it in the drawer doesn't mean they understand the nuances. So, with our time together, we've got about 15 minutes. Tell me about what disc strengths in as strengths leaders, what assessments have done for you in your development of humans, and pave the way for that, if you would.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I will share with you that I started, in my career, I didn't like assessments at all. I
Mhm.
felt they were, what do you mean an assessment? You're going to judge me? Who are you to judge me? My
Yeah.
Bronx came out pretty quickly. But what was interesting is that when my husband and I, this is so funny. The same workshop, business workshop, my husband and I, where we heard John Maxwell, we heard this woman, Florence Littauer, and she was talking about different personality styles and how it comes with different communication styles and different strengths. And during that session, we realized, like, oh my goodness, that's why you act the way that you do. And that's why you approach things this way. And I approach things that way. And it revolutionized our relationship. I brought that into the workplace in my corporate work at Marchand because, again, I was traveling all over the world, creating these startup teams, and I speak 2 languages. I speak English, but then I speak Bronx. So, it's like I had no help whatsoever other than being able to recognize people's different communication styles and being able to adjust to them. The difference is, I think, for a lot of us, when it comes to any type of Myers-Briggs or DISC, whatever your, assessment or report we take, what's interesting is it is a snapshot of that moment in time of who we are, what our preferences is in communication, and what our strengths are. The best news is that if we're armed with that information and we learn how to leverage it the right way, and that's what people like you do, Bart, you're helping people to learn, hey, if you've got these selling strengths, let's talk about how you can maximize them. If you've got these selling challenges, let's talk about how you can overcome them, right? How can we work around them? When we learn to leverage that, we now can sort of stay in our zone of genius, as Carol Dweck would say, and we can stay focused on the areas that we are the most gifted in. And in my work today, I do a lot of coaching. I do a lot of work with organizations on their teams and their culture and their connectedness. A lot of the drama that leaders get sidetracked with on their team can be easily reduced by just having people learn this information about themselves and each other. And that allows them to see, "Oh, I get it." It's kinda like the beach ball. If you and I are holding up a beach ball with a couple of other folks, and we're just like, we've got our hand on that beach ball, and we're like, "Okay, what color do you see?" I might see red, you might see blue. Somebody else might see yellow, somebody else might see green. But if we lower the beach ball and we all rise above it, and we're looking top down, we get to see all of the colors. We get to see how everybody's wired. We get to see why do they have that opinion? Oh, now I see what they see. Doesn't mean I agree that's the right answer, but I don't immediately put up a wall and create drama over the difference. We can negotiate what is the right answer.
So we give an assessment to a group. Somebody says, "Yeah, I want to do an assessment." And they do an assessment, let's say for their team. What's the best way for them to understand the assessment themselves and to be able to help their team understand the assessment? Obviously, it's with you and me, but I mean, internally, tell us how, if somebody, because here's what, let me relay on this. I find that many people will do a disc, and again, they might look at it for a day or two, but they don't stay in it. So, what I want to make sure, especially the leader, is they just embrace it and understand it and own it. Whatever the assessment is,
Yeah.
know it like you have a master's in it, because there's an investment in your people's time and dollars to do an assessment. So, why not be the one that is the champion of it?
Yeah. So here's what we do. So we do a couple of things to keep, because you have to keep it alive in an organization. It needs to become part of your language, part of your lingo. Even in our household, my husband will say to me, "All right, Deb, I want to talk about this with you, but can you just tone down your D a little bit for our discussion?" And that makes me feel like, okay, no problem. I get it. Right. Same thing in the workplace. So here's what we do. So, a couple of things is we create a communication map. So literally for every organization we work with, we create a communication map or a communication directory that tells everybody what's the right approach to use with each other because everybody's a little different. The second thing we do is we actually have these, you know, work leave behinds. So like if you're walking into somebody's office, there's or their cubicle or their workstation on the assembly line, boom, there's a little chart there that says the communication dues for this person, right? Reminds people of, hey, here's the best way we can do work together. This is the optimal way we can connect. The third thing is that in our trainings, and I know you do this, Bart, too, is that it's not just about the report. I don't want to just sell assessments. Please don't even ask me about just buying an assessment. I want to make sure you get the most value out of it. So I want to make sure you get a debrief. I want your organization to participate in a workshop. I'm going to create real life scenarios that, hey, you're trying to close a deal with a prospect on a new vehicle. Let's use that as an example. You go to the finance person and they're, banging you to get some, paperwork done. And you're like, listen, they're going to leave in an hour. If I don't have this done in an hour, it's over. Like, we need to speed this up. And it's how do we navigate and negotiate those difficult situations with each other and make it for the win for everybody. And that's what the difference is between what you do, what I do, and what other providers might do.
It's so good. I think about sales in this too, obviously leadership. And I find that I won't do a mastermind without an assessment.
Yeah.
It's just part of it. It's embedded in. And I think what's so great about that is there's so many ahas, right, Deb? I mean, I
Yes.
remember when I took my first one at 20, I thought, oh, that's the way I am.
Right now, I get it.
Yes. And I love StrengthsFinder says soar with your strengths and manage your weaknesses. I love that part, right? I want to be able to find those things I'm great at and soar with them.
Bart, I'd love to get your take on what you find also with teams that are out there and that communication hiccups that you're seeing that they have.
Well, thank you for asking me that question. That wasn't part of how this was supposed to go. No. Just kidding. I believe that it is so important that whenever we have a hiccup, to sit back and come together and let's all know each other better. I
Mm,
mean, within our organization, we run a ministry. And
yeah,
we've had that happen where, we got again a lot of these different personalities, and I might guess what they are, but I want to officially know. And Deb, you brought it up so beautifully, the to-dos in our assessment on page 8, right? Page
yeah,
8. It says, here's the to-dos. Here's how you talk to me.
yeah.
Can you imagine saying to your boss, this is how you talk to me and get the most out of me? And here's how you don't talk to me. And I have to tell you, frankly, whenever there's a conflict, I'll go pull up that assessment because I need to re-up myself on where is it that I'm getting too far up here or I'm not going down here. Where am I not understanding? I have a friend who he is a car dealer. And once upon a time, he was single. And guess what? He would give every one of his girlfriends he dated
Let me tell you, an assessment.
assessment.
I love it.
I know, and today he's happily married, they have 3 kids. I mean, the point was he said, "I'm not dating to date, I'm dating to find my partner, and I'm not gonna waste my time."
Wow.
And why would that just be in the dating scene?
Yeah.
Why would we not wanna do that, either hiring or I think hiring's great when we hire them, but Deb, I think knowing there's so many people watching this right now that don't really know your people that well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We don't
So,
even know ourselves that well sometimes. Why we do those things that we do.
yeah. Talk to us about the sales piece of it. You've been in sales, you understand sales, you're a master at that as well. Where are assessments so important for salespeople?
Ah, this is hidden gold right here. I mean, we could do a whole segment just on this. And here's the short version. When a prospect walks in, or if you're going to approach a prospect, if you can easily recognize just by a couple of short little behavioral things how they're likely wired, there's a very specific sales approach that's the key to unlock the door to that sale. And if you don't assess it and you treat everybody with the exact same sales approach, not tweaking a thing, you'll hit a percentage of it, but it's a lower percentage. It's like spear fishing versus net fishing.
So good.
You could throw out that net and you could pull in a lot of tin cans and, old shells and a couple of fish. You want a nice big fish, you take that spear, boy, you're gonna have a good dinner that night.
One of my favorite books is Crucial Conversations.
Yeah.
And I know it is yours too. And what I find so fascinating about that is, again, people struggle with those conversations. And you mentioned it a half hour ago about safety. And if they're safe, knowing what they're up against, they have information, they can make such a better communication decision, right?
That's right.
How much better could our world be if we understood each other better?
Exactly.
We're not all the same.
And you know what's another interesting strategy? In business, we talk about cost of customer acquisition,
Mm,
right? CCA. I always looked at our disc report as a CCA. I'm going to give it to somebody who's a prospective coaching client of mine for do a debrief. Now I have their report. I know exactly what's their hot button, what's their cold button. So it makes your closing rate so much better.
yeah, that's so good. That you just gave away some disc assessments right now, Deb. I'm just saying. That, that's so good. Well, we've got a few more minutes. I want to take a few more to do this, but we've talked about this before we got on. I wish we could spend 3 hours together, and I certainly hope we can do this again and go deeper. But what's first of all, I want to know your leadership style. I already know it, but please share it with our audience.
So on the disc scale, do you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go with that one.
So
Yeah.
I'm what we call a DI concluder. So my
Okay.
D is strong, very strong. My I is secondary. But my whole focus is getting things accomplished and done,
Mm,
put to bed.
mm, mm.
And as soon as like I go to finish up for the day and all of a sudden another email comes through or something, I'm like, darn it. I gotta finish that. I
Mm,
gotta conclude it.
yes, which explains your success, right? M mine is a DS or a ISD, and
Oh,
I'm a motivator, right?
wow.
And
Love it.
I know I do that,
That
right?
is
I
so
need
you.
you to coach me and say, "Let's finish it," right? But you know what? I've used to beat myself up about not finishing, and then I looked in the mirror and said, "Dude, you've got 40 years of sobriety. There ain't
Yeah,
nobody can tell you don't finish," right?
that's right.
Don't let that shadow get in your ear.
Finish one day at a time.
Amen. That's it. Amen. That is so true. So when you look at how you can make the most impact in your world as you go forward, we are in this incredible season with incredible families and incredible business opportunities. When you look at the world out there, where do you see that Deb Ingino is going to make the most impact in leadership and transformation in the next, let's say, 5 years?
Wow. Okay. Oof. So I have to start with myself first.
Mm,
And the reason, not to be selfish, but if I can't lead myself well, I have no business trying to lead somebody else.
mm,
So it always has to begin with walking that leadership walk to the best of my ability, right? In my own way. And then it's my family. How am I modeling for my family? I have a wonderful 7-year-old grandson who I love dearly and allowing myself like right now he's teaching me Minecraft. Do I want to play Minecraft? Absolutely not. But do I love the fact that he likes teaching me something for a change?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant.
Right. So just, continuing to serve my family very well. And then the people that God kind of puts in my path, whatever purpose or reason, I never really know. I'm just open to however the conversation needs to flow. And sometimes it's just for a moment. in time and it's complimenting somebody on a line at Starbucks. And sometimes it's a more meaningful discussion and longer term relationship, like I've had with so many people, even some business partners of mine. But I will tell you, Bart, one of the most beautiful gifts I had is meeting people like you because I so admire what you do. And the more I get to hear about what you're doing in the recovery movement and then what you're doing in the marketplace, and there are times when that kind of converges. And I
Yeah.
just so admire people like you, and you continue to model for me just a great way of serving back all that you've been given.
What would you say? That's just so kind. Yeah, I've got chills and tears going on at the same time here. So thank you. What would you say if you said, this is Deb Ingino's mission statement? And these questions we haven't prompted at all. I'm just throwing at you here this morning. Tell me what that might be.
Yeah, I already know because my business was founded on a scripture actually from the Bible in Habakkuk, which was write the vision and make it plain so it could be seen on the run. And then the second thing is a quote by Benjamin Disraeli,
Mm,
which is the greatest gift you can give to another person is not just to share your own riches, but to help them to see their own.
oh, yes. You and I, man, we're kindred spirits in this. And thank you for that. Again, you've had such an impact on me as a mentor and as a leader. Mine is that I want to, frankly, this is pretty bold, but I'm going to say it anyhow. I don't think I've ever said it on here. I want to influence 10,000 people in the next 5 years. And that might be a small number when we really look at it. Who knows?
Mhm.
But I think I heard somebody say they stopped doing money goals and started doing influence goals or people
Yeah.
goals. And that's really, money goals are important. Don't get me wrong, but the that it's more important, like the one purpose at the top, it's that people goal. But what I want to do, Deb, is I want to help people get from the pit to a place of peace and reach their max capacity.
Love
And
that.
I don't know what that is. It's not a lid, though. We're going to blow the lid up. It's to blow the lid off so they can reach whatever that max capacity is.
Yeah,
Tell
and
me.
I love, Bart, though, you're not hung up on the how, because the how is irrelevant, because the how is gonna change.
Yeah.
There's many pathways to get to one destination.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I feel about that too is that it's trust. We talked about trust earlier, and someone had said to Mother Teresa, would you please pray for me for clarity and discernment? And she said, no, I won't pray for you for clarity and discernment, but I will pray for you for trust.
I love that.
Ooh, let that soak in. And I think
Powerful.
when you and I and anyone listening can just trust and just trust in yourself, trust in your power, your higher power. I know for Deb and I, faith has had a huge power, had impact in our life. When we can trust, man, that just makes it so much easier. I don't know how people can walk this planet without some kind of a faith walk. I just don't. So I get it. Some people do, and good for you, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. So let's land on that. Tell us a little bit about your faith walk, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about it and the impact
Sure.
that's had in your life.
Sure, I find my faith walk has definitely evolved through the years, through the decades, but I find that here's what's interesting to me. You know, we talk about we're all sort of gifted with a purpose and the strengths for that purpose. And I find that in those moments, Bart, when I'm doing something, I'm serving in some way, and I feel very connected to God, to my higher power, that it's in those moments that I realize I'm in my purpose.
Mm.
It's so apparent. It's almost, it gives me chills in those moments. And I realize that there's like this vertical connection that's happening and
Yeah.
it is unmistakable. And those moments are so precious to me.
Yeah. They are that's where peace comes from. I went so many years without having peace and just being in the bondage of my own thought processes. And to have the peace and to be able to pay attention with
Yeah.
purpose and persistence and passion. You're right. It's changed everything. So thank you so much for sharing that. Deb, again, man, I don't want a finish line on this. That's not that I don't want that. But thank you for the incredible wisdom that you bring to the table. I do hope we can do this again.
I would love
And thank you. If someone wants to get a hold of you, Deb, how do they do that?
well, they should get a hold of you. I mean, but I'm pretty much on all the social channels, and my email is deb@strengthleader.com.
Thank you again for being such an influence. I love the idea of giving away a disc assessment. And I will say to anybody listening to this, the first 5 people here today that are interested in getting their own assessment and a debrief, which is an hour, man. We just hang out and we go through it. It's absolutely 100% free. You just have to email me at bart@bartnollenberger.com. First 5 people that do that, thank you. Say thanks to Deb. Make sure you say, thanks, Deb. Bart, I want a free assessment. Love to do it. Love to do the debrief. Thank you for that great idea. And it's all about give, give, and serve. Thank you, Deb. Appreciate your time so much. Look forward to talking to you soon. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you, Bart. Appreciate you very much too, my friend.
Thanks, everybody. Share this with someone. This is a good one. We'll talk to y'all next time.